Old Ball Coach 87 wants us to name 2 things that concern us the most on each side of the ball. How about we each do one on each side of the ball? You go first.
Okay, offensively, and I don't know if you're going to see the spotlight before this or after, but
Spotlight before.
Yeah, spotlight. Yeah. So you may have seen this, but offensively, basically, I'm concerned with what Tech is ultimately going to do with their running backs. I think there's some questions and some confusion. I still think they're trying to figure things out with your sort of speed finesse guy in Stockton and a couple of big bruisers in Nisby and Mason Reed. You got one guy who's sort of the typical spread type of a back, and then you got a couple of guys that might as well be from Ohio State or Nebraska. You know, these guys have not been in the spread here at Texas Tech before. We've seen DeAndre Washington and Tarian Henderson and people like that. Yeah. And with Nisby and Reed, you're talking something completely different from what they've had. So I'm just not sure yet that they know what they want to do with those guys on a regular basis. And you know, that concerns me a little bit because I think they need to get that figured out.
Yeah, this isn't so much a concern as far as for me. I agree with you on that, but as far as coming out of Arizona State, because I thought the offensive line did a pretty good job, and they played against a pretty good defensive line, a veteran defensive line, a legitimate defensive line that has a lot of starts. I think Star Wars told me that had 50 starts between the 2 defensive tackles. So it's not like the defensive line going against the offensive line. Arizona State's underperforming offensive line is the nicest way I could say it. So it's not really as much a concern coming out of that. It's just more like they're stepping up, though still Houston's going to be probably a little bit of a step up just because of Ed Oliver and a lot of the other guys though on the defensive front. So I still feel like I want to see, and not only do I want to see this offensive line perform well, but I want to see Kingsbury have the trust in them that when it's short yard situation that they could just put in their power package and like, okay, we're running right here and you can do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. I felt like the opportunity was there. I felt like they could last week, but I didn't feel like everybody was on the same page there. So I'd like to see that all come together.
Yes.
What about defensively?
Defensively, well, I hate to be obvious, but I have some concerns at cornerback. I think defense as a whole is improved, is playing well. I mean, you've got some real strengths in the defensive line, in the linebacker, and then Ja'Shawn Johnson at safety. I think the one area where you got some issues possibly is at cornerback, and basically the short and intermediate stuff on the sidelines. That's been a source of some pain. And the coverage hasn't always been bad. I mean, a lot of times these guys are in position to make the plays, but their ball skills and awareness just haven't been there yet. And the curve is pretty steep in the Big 12, so that's something that they need to get squared away pretty quickly.
I'm a little concerned actually about the safeties, not the starters, but we saw both Ja'Shawn and Dorsey get banged up, and then Keyshawn Allen was coming in, and we never saw Trevor Walker. Yeah. So, and they were moving Doug Coleman back there, and Coleman looked, and I understand this, but he looked a little lost back there. So they were really just one injury away from safety not looking so hot. So that's a concern because those guys are going to safeties get banged up. I mean, they play so many snaps. They do have to make a lot of tackles, unfortunately. So that's a concern to me. I mean, with Dorsey and Ja'Shawn, they look pretty good back there. Yeah. But when one of them goes out, all of a sudden it's shaky. Speaking of the love for the power game, Joey82 wants to know, do we believe there's any chance at all of Cliff implementing a power run game of shimmy under center, not back in the shotgun, but under center with Reed and Nisby in the backfield? I say no, unless it's in like goal line situations or maybe a fourth down. But other than short yard situations, I really don't see shimming it going under center and them doing like the power thing like we're talking about.
Yeah, the only way that happens is somebody kidnaps Cliff Kingsbury,
enforces him.
Yeah, it gets him out of there and digs up Bo Schembechler and puts him in there in a Tech hat instead. Because if anything like that was going to happen, you would have thought that it would have happened last week against Arizona State, and it didn't happen at all. So I mean, my hopes for that are pretty much nil. Not like I'm just laying awake at night dreaming that Nick Shimonek's going to be under center or anything like that.
That would be really weird if you were staying up at night dreaming of Shimonek under center.
So that's not happening. I'd be happy with just using Nisby and Mason Reed quite a bit more than they are right now, out of your split
Pistol.
back set or your pistol or something like that. But yeah, any sort of serious heavy-duty power game, I don't see it.
Before I'd want Shimonek under center, I would rather them go to like the Wildcat thing we were talking about, just for the numbers game. Put another offensive lineman in there and actually take Shimonek off the field just for a play or maybe even 2 or 3 plays and just pound the rock in the Wildcat. That's just my preference though. Mr. Mustafa Mon says his contention is the defense has improved but fell back into its old ways in the third quarter due to the offense's lack of running time off the clock and or scoring. It affected them mentally and physically. Now, can you tell us about what you see in the film if the defense's case holds water?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that what Mustafa says could be somewhat true. I mean, I think that the energy when they first came out was
gone.
Yeah, it was a bit. I mean, when they came out to open the game, it was sky high.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but they didn't sustain that, and they couldn't sustain it realistically. There was a drop off. That's natural that that's going to happen. But yeah, I think that was a factor. But also, I think that Arizona State's offense, they found something. They ran the ball less. They started to find that intermediate, short-range stuff with the passing game. They started throwing the ball more than they were running it.
They started throwing it to Harry a lot too, which helped.
That's right. Yeah, and Tech didn't have an answer for that. So probably a combination of those two things.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to make it sound like we want them to be like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, we are admittedly spoiled with Texas Tech's offense, but there comes a time where you do have to manage the game, in my opinion, whether you're a quarterback or really in Texas Tech case a lot if you're the quarterback, if you're Kingsbury. And I felt like they tried to do that some, like late in the second quarter with the Nisby drive, which of course he fumbled. I mean, if he scores there, I think we all agree the game probably takes a completely different trajectory, and I think Tech probably ends up blowing them out. They didn't though. He didn't score, he fumbled, and it seems like he kind of said, okay, let's throw that out the window. You know what I mean? Like you said, maybe he benched Nisby basically for fumbling. And they went back to kind of like the finesse game. And they still moved the ball some, but it seems like that 1-2 punch, it's like it doesn't have to be either let's air it out or let's go power. Well, mix both of them in there. Run just a little bit of clock, give your defense a little bit of a breather, score, put a little space between the two of you when the opportunity was there. And like Mr. Mustafa Mon said, I don't think they score 4 times in a row. It took on a life of itself where the team definitely had to feel, oh no, here we go again. You know what I mean? Everybody in that stadium felt that feeling. Oh, that, you know, like I said, that feeling of inevitability. And once again, I give them credit for winning in spite of that. But
do you think the people in the loge seating were
especially the loge? The loge people were like, I'm out of here. So I think the loge was kind of empty there by the end. But just kidding, I have no idea. I didn't check that out. All right, Tech Freak wants to know, what does the fox say? The fox said, hello, ladies. Because I hear the fox invaded at least one of the ladies' bathrooms. One of my wife's friends was telling us about it the other day that, he because when you see on the telecast that he ran up, you know, well, apparently he ran up to the ladies' restroom, and scared some ladies in there. So he may have been a little creepy with his game. The fox didn't have as much game as he thought, I guess.
Do we know how the fox identifies? You know, I mean, whether he was, I guess he can go technically in the ladies' room or not. I don't know.
Joe had to go take it to a whole other level politically there. I don't think Lubbock is the town that worries about that. Either you are or you aren't, right? You're one thing or not, or the other. All right, we're to our food question. We haven't had a food question from the Rawls Landman in a long time, so this is great. Thank you, Rawls. Mighty Joe, I know you look forward to this. When we do get these questions, what as a foodie, what's your favorite breakfast?
Yeah. Hungry for a food question. You know, it's been a long time. Well, you could probably answer half of this for me. Biscuits and gravy, man. Biscuits and gravy. You know.
Oh wait, he tears them up. They have every time there's 11 o'clock kickoff here. They have biscuits and gravy, and he gets 2 giant plates with like 4 giant biscuits each time, and just he devours it. It's an epic event to watch him. It's a sight to behold.
It may not be the prettiest thing, but I can polish them off, man. Yeah. But yeah, and along with that, you know, side order of ham, some hash browns, black coffee, and some grapefruit juice. That's the breakfast of kings for me.
Yeah, that made me hungry. I may have to have breakfast for dinner tonight.
Me too.
For me, I like at the Pancake House, for example, I get the Hungry Boy. Big shocker there. And it's kind of like a sampler. I like a sampler. You know, get bacon, eggs, hash browns, and then a stack of pancakes. So like say at the Pancake House here in Lubbock, the Hungry Boy would be, I'll get scrambled eggs. I think it's like 2. I get 2 or 3 pieces of bacon, and then actually a couple pieces of ham, which sometimes I ignore. So you gotta you gotta give up something, or give to somebody else. And then the hash browns, which is a must. And then I get 2 buttermilk pancakes, which some people might find boring, but sometimes less is more. So, but no. Seriously, I am going to eat breakfast for dinner now. Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Great questions from y'all, and until next time.